So Christmas is my favorite time of year. It gives me a chance to hang out with family and friends that I don't get to see very often. It's something I look forward to every year since I was a little tiny kid. So we did take some time off this weekend from working on the FD to get some Christmas decorations up. And I was also putting together my Christmas list for Santa this year. So while I was doing that, I was taking a look at some of the tools that I have in my garage and some of the things I'd like to have to add to my sets. I thought it'd be a good idea to put together some of my top tools that I like to use in my garage in case there's any of you out there that are looking for last minute Christmas gift ideas, or you've got that relative that you know is definitely going to give you a gift card for Christmas, something for you to start looking at to add to your collection. For every gearhead, I think I've got something for everybody. So let me go out and grab some tools and I'll see you guys in a second. All right, so it's really cold outside and nasty, and so I decided just to bring everything here in my workshop where I got better lighting anyway. So what I have in front of me represents, it's about 12 of my top used tools or my favorite tools, or there's something very, something that I wouldn't go without in my garage. This is stuff that, it doesn't matter who you are or what kind of work that you do, whether it's on four-wheel drives or motorcycles. A lot of this is useful to everyone. There's a couple things that are specific to certain types of cars, but for the most part, this is stuff that's universal. And basically, I'm going to go through these items in roughly in order from cheapest to most expensive. Let me get this cleared off and we'll get started with my first item. So I'm always in search of good lighting options for when I'm working on my cars, where you're underneath the car or under the hood and you need a flashlight or something that helps you get the job done. I like to look for work lights that have magnetic bases, because then you can stick them to various things and angle them to where you want them. So this is a little cheap. I think it's about $10 off Amazon. It's run off of 3 AAA batteries, but it's got a fairly strong magnet on the base, and because it's so light, it's pretty rugged. It's kind of got like a rubbery texture to it. It's got a base that lets you kind of put it at various angles. But the cool thing about it is that it's so small and compact that you can really get it into a lot of places where you might not be able to get that in a normal flashlight. So again, that comes in at about $10. Of course, you have to supply your own batteries. Tying into that, I've got the this Stanley flashlight. Now, I like it because it basically has it has a lot of functionality. So the main thing I use it for is these lights here. So when I'm under the car, I can set it like that. I can angle each of these however I want to. I could keep one folded and set it down on the ground, let the light shine up. It also has a normal LED flashlight in the front. It does have a magnet, but where this is quite a bit heavier, the magnet doesn't work extremely well. But again, this is more for when I'm underneath the car. I can pop these out, and these also rotate. I think this is about $25. Again, the link for this will be down in the description, but it's a little Stanley flashlight that I like. The flashlight that I'm really using right now, that I pretty much go to every time I have something I need to get done, is this this work light by Eastwood. Now, what I like about this light is it has a very strong magnetic base. Just a lot of these products, like even this, it's strong for what it is, but if you bump into it, it'll fall off. It's not super strong. This is a really cool product. I've only had it the last few months, but I really like it. It's super bright. I mean, really, really bright. It is rechargeable, and it really works. I mean, there's a lot of friction there, so you don't have to worry about it coming out of the angle that you set it. The magnets on the base are extremely strong. I mean, this thing just sticks. And like I said, it is super bright. I don't want to. I mean, it's almost too bright sometimes. This you can set on the ground, angle it up to where you want to work. But then also you've got the options to use the magnetic base, and it does come with a wall charger. I think it also has a lighter socket. And then the other cool part about the flashlight is it's modular. So there's other items that you can use it with. So Eastwood has this underhood bracket, and this is very handy. Particularly if you have a car that has like an aluminum hood or carbon fiber hood or anything like that where the magnet isn't going to work. This thing is great. You can just clamp it onto the sides of the hood. I also use it for when I'm working inside the car, so I can span the bracket between the door jambs. And it basically just has springs, and so you can take it and set it on your hood, and it's not super soft, but it's sort of soft rubber. It grips really well. And you can I only have one light, but if if you wanted 2 or 3, you can put as many of these as you want on there. So again, out of all my lighting options, when I'm in the garage, this is probably my favorite light to use right now. If I'm in a tight spot, I like this light, and then this is my general flashlight that I use when I'm just inspecting something underneath the car. All right, the next item that's on my list is basically just little plastic part storage containers. I have tons and tons of these in various shapes and sizes, and these come in prices probably cheaper than $10, depending on what you get, probably over $25. So these I get from Home Depot, and they probably can be found online, but I really like these. They're very rugged. They're very thick, durable plastic. What I like about these is they're very, these are very secure. It has lots of latches to stop the parts from coming out, and it has various. You can kind of configure the inside of these containers. So again, just something that I think I could have as many of these as anybody would ever want to get me, because I'd always find parts. I like to, like maybe one of these has washers, one of them has bolts, nuts, and electrical parts, all sorts of things. So these little plastic containers are awesome. And like I said, these particular ones are from Home Depot, and they're very strong, very stout. I think they stack well. If you get the same sizes, they kind of stack inside of each other pretty nice. So anybody that's like me that ends up collecting tons and tons and tons of loose bits and pieces, these are awesome to try to keep some of that organized. And these are the ones I found that I like the most. So these are really, they're kind of a tool that when you need them, or if you're in a hurry, they can kind of get you going a little quicker. But these are just actually something I like because they're kind of cool. I guess the engineering side of me is kind of nerds out about this kind of stuff. So these are gimbal ratchets, and they basically work like a standard ratchet. But what's neat about them is they basically have like universal joints. So if you have a nut or bolt that's in a very hard spot to reach, and you can't develop a lot of torque, I guess depends on how strong you are, but this thing will fit in just about any kind of awkward position that you can, and as long as you can fit your hand in that space, you'll be able to use this tool. So I have them basically in, I think this one is 3/8, this one's in 1/4 inch, and while not technically a gimbal ratchet, it's similar in that it's basically just a little hand drive ratchet. It's got a 1/4 inch on this side, and then it's got the hex side on that side for various little sockets or whatever you might have. So these are pretty cool. They're like, if I'm trying to hurry up and just cinch down a nut or a bolt, I might grab these instead of grabbing something else. So for the $10 to $15 that it costs for each one of these, they're definitely worth me having in my toolbox. Again, I don't use them all the time, but when I do need them, I need them. And a little bit of words of wisdom when it comes to working on cars. Inevitably, you're going to be out working on your car. Something's going to slip. You're going to jam your hand into the edge of a sharp piece of metal. There's lots and lots of ways to get hurt while working on a car, working on your garage, motorcycle, anything. So I would always recommend having a first aid kit available in your garage. And depending on what you do, if you do a lot of like racing, or if you do a lot of off-roading and things like that, where you may not have access to a garage, something like this would be great to keep in your truck or your toolbox. But basically, you just never know where you get hurt. It could just be a cut, it could be a bruise, it could be a scrape, it could be any number of things. But sometimes you get seriously hurt, and so having something like this is going to at least give you that little bit of help between getting to an emergency room or getting to where somebody else has the proper first aid stuff to help you. So I would always recommend keeping a kit that has at least Band-Aids, gauze, antibacterial cream, gloves. I think it also has ice packs in here. Yeah, it's an instant cold pack. So I would definitely get a decent first aid kit that has all sorts of things in there that might help you in the event of an emergency. I probably didn't pay more than $15 or $20 for it, but I probably used mostly just the Band-Aids and stuff, but it also has some pain medicines and things in here. You just never know. So anyway, definitely recommend keeping one of these in your garage or in your toolbox. All right, so for my next top gift, we actually need to run out to my garage because it's just already set up out there, and so let's go out there and take a look at it. If you're anything like me, horizontal surfaces quickly become cluttered when I'm in the middle of a project. A lot of times there's pieces that I'm taking off cars that I don't necessarily want to sit on the ground or in an area where something could fall on them. This next item is actually pretty neat because when you're not using it, you basically can tuck it into a corner or against a wall, and it's out of the way. So for about 23 bucks, you can pick yourself up a very nice work stand that you can use basically to set parts on when you're working on projects. Now the one I have here is from Eastwood. It's frequently on sale. I think I got this for like 22 bucks or something like that. And it's rated for 750 pounds. It does come with some nice padded foam that goes over the bars. And like I said, I can use it to set body panels, dash parts, you know, anything that I don't really want to worry about setting on the ground. But then, you know, if I needed to take this out into my driveway, throw some plywood over top of it, I could basically make a temporary workbench. So for 23 bucks, these are great to have around. I've actually got 2 of them and I use them all the time. And yes, in case you're wondering, I am filming this in my pajamas and my favorite Christmas shirt, so deal with it. Anybody that works on BMWs knows that a lot of the fasteners that are on the car are Torx. And so this is a kit that I've got that was relatively cheap, I think $35. I believe it's pronounced Nico. I'll put the link in the description. But basically, it's an internal and external Torx set. So basically, you've got the, I think most of them are 3/8 inch with some 1/4 inch. So you've got the, you know, the Torx, you know, bits there, and then you've got it's not a fully comprehensive set. You got the internal Torx, so it's just probably the more common sizes. Honestly, I probably have not run into a fastener on a BMW yet that this didn't work. Anybody that works on a BMW, and I'm sure there's other applications, but specifically BMW, this is definitely something that they're going to want to have. Otherwise, you may run into a situation where you realize you don't have the Torx bits to take something apart. So in line with the first aid kit, having a fire extinguisher handy at all times is essentially a must, in my opinion. I've actually got one mounted on the wall right there for my workshop. I've got one out in the garage mounted on the wall, and then this one is actually it's a very small extinguisher that I will actually end up mounting in the FD. And a lot of times, if you go to a bigger car show, they're going to require that every vehicle have a fire extinguisher that, you know, they set it out beside the car. Anyway, so for this one, I think I paid $60 to $65, and again, it's a very small application. I know they make various sizes. This is a 1 pound bottle. The cool thing about this particular brand is they're actually kind of quite stylish, and this particular model comes in red, black, chrome, and a platinum color. And basically, they've got you know, nice hardware to mount them in the cars. And like I said, this one will be going in the FD so that I am safe when at car shows or wherever else. But you know, so just a nice compact bottle. It's not going to put out an entire car fire, but if you get a small electrical fire or an engine fire, you know, you're better off having this than not. And I can tell you, as someone with experience that's had a car that's, you know, smoking that you believe is going to burn to the ground, I really wished I always have this have one of these in my cars. This item is, again, it's not something you're going to use every day. And basically, this is a little mini battery pack. It's a Noco Genius Boost GB40. And this is great because as small as it is, it can actually, I think it starts up to V6 engines. You know, this thing is cool because you can charge it. It holds a charge for a long time. So, you know, you keep it in your car if you needed to. It also has USB ports to charge electronics. But for the longest time, I was having electrical problems on the FD, or at least I thought I was having electrical problems on the FD. It actually ended up being a bad battery, but you know, this I could take with me and it would fire up the FD almost every time. So, and I think I've only charged this once since I've had it. I believe this also has like LED strobe lights and flashlights and stuff built into it. It's got USB chargers and cigarette lighter adapters and all sorts of stuff. So this was about $80. Anyway, there's lots of uses for this, but again, it's something that I keep in my garage. If I know I'm going to a car show or to a trip, this is something I throw in the back, because even if I don't have issues, you never know when somebody else might have issues. And again, this is just a lot easier to hook up, turn on, and start the engine. So definitely recommend keeping this. Again, they make various sizes, so you may want to, if you're going to look into getting something like this, look at the application that you're going to use it most often, and maybe you need a larger one or a smaller one or whatever. But this is definitely something to keep with emergency roadside kit. So anybody that's been working on a car, you know, one of the first things you realize you're going to need in your tool set is a torque wrench. And the thing about a lot of torque wrenches is they're usually for higher torques, like, you know, 200, 250 pound-feet. And so, you know, a lot of people have those, and they're, you know, probably the most common type. But, you know, in my experience with a lot of the newer vehicles having a lot of alloys and aluminum components, and particularly on BMWs, in my experience, a lot of components have a very low torque spec, like, you know, 10 foot-pounds, 15 foot-pounds, something in that range. So one thing I picked up several years ago that I use pretty often. I would hate to guess on a torque setting on something like aluminum because it's easy to strip out. So this is a low range torque wrench, and basically it has, I think it's up to 37 foot-pounds or 35 foot-pounds peak torque. The nice thing about this one is it's digital, so you can set it to the maximum torque. You can set a torque, and then as you approach it, this will beep faster and faster, and then hold a beep when you hit the torque. It's got a nice LCD screen that, you know, nice bright readout. And I think this is a 3/8 inch model. This is by AC Delco. This is definitely something anybody's working on engines particularly should have in their toolbox. So this tool is definitely a jump up in the price range. And this one, it's actually a kit, so the price is for the whole kit, and it was about $155. And what it is it's an electric ratchet. I know a lot of people are gonna say, Matt, you're a Milwaukee fanboy, this is just a Milwaukee commercial, and that may be the case. I am a big fan of their tools. They've never let me down. You know, the fact that the batteries are pretty interchangeable between a lot of their tools is really cool. But this one in particular, what I like about it is it's just a ratchet. So I think it does have like 35 or 34 foot-pounds of torque, something like that, but it has a cutoff. Well, it basically has a cutoff so that if it feels like it's going to overload, it just shuts off. So the cool thing about this is that it really helps when you get into a tight spot. I can't tell you how many times where I've been working on a car and I'm lucky to engage one or two teeth of a ratchet. This is cool because if you have access and you can put this up in there, granted, you can actually loosen this because it basically acts like a ratchet as well. So it locks in. So whether you're tightening or loosening a nut or bolt, it actually locks in. So you could break the nut loose or whatever with this, and then once it's loose, use the electric motor to back it out. And it's not super fast, but again, when you're in a tight spot and have very little throw to a nut or bolt, this will save the day. I do like to use this for a lot of assembly too, because again, it's not hyper fast, and I can just basically ease a nut or bolt into whatever I'm working on. But again, $150. This kit came with the tool itself, one battery, this bag, and a quick charger. It also came with a 3/8 inch to a 1/4 inch adapter. But again, I'm a big fan of Milwaukee tools, and again, they've always worked, they're always reliable, and this is one of my favorite tools I've got. Yeah, 2457 ratchet. I think they make a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch. I think they make it, but I've got the 3/8 inch version. And again, it's just something that I use all the time. And it's quite dirty, and you can tell it's got some nicks on it, but it's a very useful tool, and I can't recommend this enough. And out of all the tools that I have here, if you told me I could only have one, this would definitely be it. I can't tell you how impressed I am by this tool and how much it speeds up my work. Working on something like the FD where it's extremely rusty, I have nuts on that car that haven't been loosened since the car has been made. They're very difficult to get out. And a lot of times, you start putting a lot of torque, you got a breaker bar or even a cheater on that, and you're really torquing on a bolt or something. You have to think there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if I'm pulling with all my strength over here, you're putting that much torque on the car, you're putting that much torque on whatever it is you're working. So sometimes it's difficult because you can't hold the part that you're trying to take a bolt or nut out of with the same amount of force that you're cranking on it. So something like this makes those nuts and bolts pop out with ease and not really have to worry about safety and things like that. So again, it's a Milwaukee tool. This is the 1/2 inch. I think that they call this the mid torque. It's a 2861. This one is a big jump up in price. I think just for the tool itself, you're probably about $180. If you get the tool with a battery, and I think it's probably, you're better, if you just want the tool and the battery, you probably just buy them separate. If you want to buy a kit similar to the ratchet, you're probably $300 plus for the charger, a battery, a case, and then the tool itself. But whether it's Milwaukee or the Harbor Freight version or DeWalt or Makita, whatever, I can't recommend an electric impact gun enough. Except for somebody that may have access to a very large air compressor, then maybe in that case having a pneumatic impact wrench makes more sense. But again, this you don't have to worry about pulling around the hose, running out of air and whatnot. But the downside of this obviously is its bulk. It is heavy. This is magnesium or something. I mean, it's a very heavy tool. I mean, there's been times where I've been trying to, underneath the car, trying to remove something, and it just, it's a workout. You start feeling it in your shoulders. So they do make smaller, more compact versions of this tool, and I will be actually getting the stubby 3/8 inch impact that Milwaukee makes. That just has a much shorter body, and it's probably smaller overall, so it's not as heavy. You can get smaller batteries. Again, that battery selection is interchangeable between a lot of different tools. So again, out of all the tools I've had here and probably all the rest of the tools I have in my garage, this is the one that I couldn't imagine not having. So again, whether it's this one or any others, whatever's your budget, I would highly, highly, highly recommend an electric impact wrench. So hopefully you found something that either you can add to your gift list, or something you need to go out and buy for your garage, or a last minute gift idea for your aunt, your uncle, grandpa, whoever. So again, these are probably the 12 most useful tools I think that I have in my garage. I mean, there's obviously sockets and wrenches and all that kind of stuff. I use that way more, but pretty much everybody's going to have that anyway. So these are kind of more, maybe lesser known tools that people may not think about. So I definitely went over things fairly quickly. Again, it's just kind of getting this out, this video out to you guys. I didn't really want to go into too much detail on any of these things, but all these are just my opinion. I'm not sponsored by any of these companies or have any stake in what I've said, but other than these are all tools that I would definitely stand behind. I hope everybody has a great holiday season and you found this video at least somewhat informative. Another thing that I will mention that isn't necessarily a tool, but I have released my first t-shirt design on Teespring. So I have the link down in the description. Go check it out. It's just my first design. I will be coming out with a design hopefully by the middle of December for the FD. So no matter what you celebrate, I hope you have a happy holiday and a great new year. We have a lot of big things planned for the channel, hopefully soon and definitely into next year. I'm looking at getting a lift installed. I'm looking at doing some more garage organization. Obviously, I want to start tearing in deeper into the FD, the engine. The Datsun needs some love right now because it's just been sitting out there leaking gas everywhere, and the brakes are shot. And so I'll probably get the FD caught up at least to a point where it's drivable again, and then I'll probably pull the Datsun in and try to get some of those issues fixed. So hope you get to spend some time with your loved ones this holiday season. I will be making a big push to bring out more videos and content next year. I do have some things I'm working on through the end of this year, so hopefully I'll get some more videos out before the end of the year. But anyway, you guys take care, and I will see you guys soon.